everybody. Welcome in. Happy Tuesday, everybody. I hope you're having a great day so far. I think I'm sitting a little too high. My chair is a little up. I don't know. Maybe that's better. Maybe it's not. I can't really tell. Hi, Cindy. Hi, Mary. Hi, Sandy. How are you? Bonnie is here in the house. Gina, how are ya? I hope everybody's doing good. So, it's Tuesday, and I do have an update for you guys about my bargain bead box because I would have loved to do the bargain bead box today. Would have loved to. In fact, I had people asking me about it, and I told you guys last week they changed their shipping to Amazon shipping. Well, I went and checked my tracking number, and it said that it was undeliverable, and they sent it back to Bargain Bead Box. So I reached out to Bargain Bead Box. The first response I got was not a good one, which is weird because I love Bargain Bead Box, but the first response was like, ew, who is this? However, the second response I got was much more helpful, and they have sent me a new one, but it's going to be a while. So I'm hoping that next Tuesday when we get together, we'll do our bargain bead box. Okay. So I will do it. I just don't have one at the moment, and I'm kind of sad about it because everybody has been talking about how fun it is and how pretty it is. So it looks like I'm going to be the last one to the party, but we will do bargain bead box next Tuesday, assuming that I have it by then. I'm sure that I will. All right. So that means that today we just kind of had to come up with something new. And so originally, again, was going to do bargain bead box, but at the last minute had to kind of pivot to something else. And we're going to do a cup chain project. Now, we have done projects like this similarly in the past. However, I wanted to do this one because sparkly tennis bracelets and tennis style bracelets are really, really popular this season. And if you're like me, excuse me, I'm still very congested. If you're like me, I cannot afford a diamond tennis bracelet. I'm sorry. I make jewelry for a living. I don't have that kind of money, but that doesn't mean that I can't have the same kind of style. And that's the great thing about being a jewelry maker, is that we can recreate things that are popular and that are trending ourselves. So that's what we're going to do today. We're going to use a little bit of leather. We're going to use some cup chain. We're going to do some macrame. We're going to put all of these elements together, plus a beautiful check glass button. And who doesn't love check glass buttons? They're super spectacular. So we're going to use a check glass button for our clasp. And this, if you heard that, that's my stress ball. Sorry. I don't realize what my hands are doing as I'm talking, but we are going to put that together. Now, I'm going to be using leather, cup chain, and S-Lon. However, there's a lot of things that you can use in place of this. So please don't feel like if you don't have this that you can't do this, because you can. I'm going to use my small travel size knotty board for this. However, if you don't have a knotty board, use your tying station, use painter's tape, use whatever it is that you've got. I just like the knotty board because of the clips. I kind of wish that Beadalon would come out with something similar that has clips, because I hate that I'm using something that is not Beadalon brand, but you know, sometimes you just got to do what you got to do. So that is the plan for today. I also want to mention that we are kind of at the end of the month this month. It is the 25th, having to look at the calendar. So technically we've still got like 5 days to go, but I do want to go ahead because the first day of the month is next Tuesday. And by that point, we'll be into April. Between now and then, Hardwired is open for enrollment. So just go ahead and consider it open for enrollment right now. So if you would like to be a Hardwired member, now is your opportunity to do so. We open for enrollment at the end of every single month. And all you have to do is head over to the Hardwired Facebook group, apply to be a member, make sure that you fill out all of your questions that are asked by Facebook, and then that way we can get in touch with you and get your invoicing taken care of. You can sign up monthly or you can sign up quarterly. If you sign up quarterly, of course, you get a great discount. And we focus a lot on wire. It is an advanced learning community. However, I try to teach the projects there in a way that are easily digestible for any skill level. So if you have your basics down, basic wire wrapping, basic wrapped loop, basic simple loops, things like that, then you're ready for hardwired. That is, if you would like to be. We focus on wire, but we do other things as well. But I don't want you to be intimidated by any of it. I want you to come on over if you would like to join. That is open for enrollment right now. Now, if you would like to be a Patreon member, Patreon is open for enrollment anytime. And you can be anywhere on the planet if you want to be a Patreon member. It doesn't matter if you are here or in Canada or in France or in South Africa. Anybody can be a Patreon member. For $10 a month. You get at least 3 extra projects from me a month. And those projects are exclusive to Patreon. You will not see them on Facebook. You will not see them on YouTube. They're exclusive to Patreon members only. I have a beautiful project that I have already done and filmed that will be uploaded to Patreon later this afternoon. I try to do weekly, but at least 3 times a month. And those projects are not advanced. Those projects, we just focus on using the beautiful things that we have around us to create beautiful pieces of jewelry. We don't focus on technique. We just make great things with our basic techniques. If you're interested in hardwired, though, backing up for just a second, we're making a beautiful cuff bracelet today in hardwired. So you're interested in upping your skills, that's what we got going on. I got to get a picture of that for the show later. All right, so I'm going to turn you guys around and we are going to get started, shall we? Check on what the dogs are doing. When they're quiet and you hear things being shredded, you always wonder if it's something important. Fortunately, it's just a dog toy, so no problem. Okay. Let me show you guys what it is that we're going to be creating. I have one that is already started. And we may use this one to finish because it's not finished, but this is what we're going to be doing. So we are going to be taking some cup chain, and you can do this with any size cup chain that you want. I believe this is a 4mm cup chain. Where's my gauge? I can tell you for sure. However, you can do this with any size that you want. Yes, this is a 4mm cup chain. Okay. And I got cup chain from the store. It's not, I didn't go anywhere special is what I'm saying. A lot of times you can grab cup chain at like the box stores, the box craft stores. I know Art Beads has some. So I don't go anywhere in particular for my cup chain. And I do like just the clear. However, it does come in a lot of different colors when you're shopping for it and a lot of different sizes. So we're taking our cup chain and we are combining this with leather cord. I'm using some 1.5mm. You can use 1.5mm or 2mm leather cord, or you can use flat leather if you want to. And I am also using some S-Lon to macrame with square knots my cup chain. Now there's an unfinished little end here I need to handle, and of course I haven't finished this one off, but I just wanted to show you this is the one that I had been working on with a beautiful check glass button. So I'm mixing together that light blue, some dark blue, and the beautiful sparkle from the cup chain. I'm going to show you how to get this started. We're going to do one in black. So I have black leather for this one. Going to be using, again, some more of the clear cup chain. I'm using S-Lon in this beautiful deep teal color. And my button for this is a check glass button that is black with that teal wash on it with the bird. So two very different combinations here. I've got one that's like bright and happy and one that's a little moody, but just goes to show that you can combine any combinations to get some really cool results. Okay. So what we are going to do is I'm going to take my leather cord here. And as far as your leather cord is concerned, you need enough leather cord to create the length of your bracelet, right? Plus extra to create a loop and a knot for your buttons, for your clasps. So I would take whatever length you need your bracelet to be and then add about 2 inches to that. Okay. So for me, mine is way longer than what I actually need, but where is my ruler? My daughter stole my ruler. Okay. Mine is about 20 inches, and then I fold that in half. I've got like 10 inches. Yes, I know that is a lot more than I need, but it's better to have more than not enough. Okay. All right. So what we're going to do is we're going to fold that cord in half, and we are going to take our button and we're going to thread that on. I'm using a shank style button, so my leather cord will fit right through that shank on the back, and I'm going to drop that button down to the middle. Exactly, Wendy, you don't have to do housework right now. It'll be there in a little while when you go back to it. Come hang out with us. This is a housework free zone. All right, I'm going to use my travel knotty board for this, just because it's easier to attach everything. I'm going to take one of my clips. I'm just going to hook it, and then I'm going to put that down. And I'm going to take my doubled up cord and pinch it down there so that I have my two strands running side by side, okay, where I have folded this in half. Now, the cup chain is going to fit right on top of that, and we are going to macrame that on with square knots, okay? And I'm going to go ahead and get my first knots. I'm going to do 2 knots first with no cup chain, and then I'm going to start adding my cup chain to it. Now, as far as the length of this is concerned, it's quite a bit. You need about 5 feet of your S-Lon to do this, and you will be folding it in half, so use 6 feet of this. It'll be 3 feet on one side and 3 feet on the other, or whatever the measurement will be. You're going to take this to the underneath of your leather, bring your 2 ends together, and then pull so that you have the middle. Now I'm going to lower you back down again. Okay. All right, now we are going to do square knots, and we've done tons of projects using square knots, but I'm going to do 2 square knots with no cup chain just to get this anchored to my leather cord, okay? So these square knots happen in 2 steps. You do the right and then you do the left, or you can start on the left and then do the right, but whatever. I always start on the right. I'm going to take my right-handed cord, and I'm going to create a P shape over the top of my core being my 2 leather cords, okay? Then I am going to take my left-handed cord, cross over that right-handed cord that is now coming out this direction, and then I'm going to go behind and up through that P shape on the right, and I'm going to pull. Okay, that's the first step. The second step is the same thing, but on the left. So on the left, I'm making my backwards P shape across the top of the core. My right cord crosses over that, goes behind the core and up through my backwards P shape, and then I pull. Okay, that's the full knot. If you don't do both steps, you don't have a full square knot. Now, I'm going to slide this up as close to my button as I can get. Okay. Now I'm going to repeat that. I'm going to do a second one. P shape on the right. Left cord crosses over that and then goes behind the core and up through and pull. Okay. On the left, backwards P shape. Right cord crosses over, goes behind and up through, and pull. All right, so I have 2 square knots here, and I am ready to add my cup chain to this. Now, adding your cup chain in the beginning is a little tricky. It is very difficult to get it to stay in place until you have a couple of knots around a couple of the cups Okay. So you can see the cup chain has this little space in between each one of the little cups. That's what you're going to be knotting over the top of. All right, so what I'm going to do is I'm going to place my cup chain right over the top of this, and I'm going to place it so that that first cup sits over the top of the knots that we just created. Okay. Now this is not going to just stay there just because I want it to. I am actually going to have to come down here and clip it. That's why part of the reason why I'm using my Knotty board is so that I can clip this in place. So come down here on this side and just kind of setting that. Oops, that's not in the right spot. Okay. So we lay it out. There I need it. And then I'm going to put this right into clip. All right. And again, like I said, it is tricky here in the beginning. It is very, very tricky because you got to kind of hold it in place. So what I like to do is I like to go ahead and get my knot started. Okay. So I have the knot started, but I haven't cinched it down yet. And then I'm going to slide my cup chain into that knot. So slide that little cup in and then pull. Okay. Now I'm going to do the left side of this knot to secure this knot, and I am doing it in between the cups. So left side, that backwards P shape. Whoops. And pull. All right. There we go. Now I have it secure. So I can continue with my square knots. Now, here is the thing. If you want more of the leather to show, more of the leather to show on the side, you can see how this one I've done 2 square knots in between each cup, right? And when you look at it top down, you barely see that leather popping through. If you want more of the leather showing, don't do 2 square knots, just do 1. So do the 1 like I just did and then move on to the next. However, if you want more of that color from your cord, then do 2. I'm going to do 2. If you are doing a cup chain that is smaller than 4 millimeter, you may not have room for 2 knots. You may only have room for 1. But I'm going to go ahead and do a second square knot in that space. So my P shape on the right, my left cord crosses over and then goes behind and up through. And I pull. Then I'm going to do my backwards P shape. Yes, you can use painter's tape. The painter's tape is great for this because it will not leave any residue behind. So yeah, if you want to use painter's tape, you absolutely can do that. But once you get at least 1 or 2 of the cups secured, you should be fine. All right, now I'm going to move up to the space between the next 2 cups. So P shape on the right, left cord crosses over. We go behind and up through. Pull. And then we're going to do the left. Backwards P shape on the left. Right cord crosses over that, goes behind and up through. And if you're using S-Lon, you may need to reset because it's a little slippery, gets a little loose on you. Now, I mentioned before we got started with this project that there are other cords that you can use for this, and that is 100% true. All right, I'm going to go ahead and do my second knot. So instead of using S-Lon, you can use waxed linen. You can even use your Asian knotting cords, the ones that are, they're made out of, they're nylon, but they also have something else in them. But you know what I'm talking about. The Chinese knotting cords, they're slick, they're slippery. Those will work as well. You just need like a very small one, but that's what I started yesterday. The yellow one, I actually did it with the Chinese knotting cord first. And then quickly decided that I wanted 2 knots in between here. So in order to get 2 knots, I needed to use the S-Lon instead, because the Chinese knotting cord was just too big. I could only get 1 knot in between. So those kinds of choices obviously are going to kind of determine how many, what kind of cord you use is going to determine how many knots you can get in between your cups here. But you can also use hemp. Hemp comes in a ton of colors and a ton of different sizes as well. So there's a lot of things that you can use here. Not only can you use cord to do this, but you can actually do this with wire as well. So if you like the look of this, but you want more structure to it, you can actually use your thin gauged artistic wires for this. They come in a lot of different colors. And with the thin gauge excuse me, artistic wires, you don't even have to do the knotting. You can just wrap it, which is really cool too. So that kind of opens up some room for some extra creativity if you just wanted to wire wrap this instead of knotting. So keep all that in mind. How does it hold up with half the knot in between an opening? I'm doing the whole knot. Watch. Okay, so this space in between the 2 cups, I'm doing the whole thing. So there's the P shape on the right. Okay, crossing over, going behind and up through on the left, and pull. So you're just treating the cup chain just like you would a bead. And then I'm doing it on the left as well. So I'm doing both steps. Backwards P shape on the left, right cord crosses over, goes behind and up through. And then I even have room for a second knot next to that. So I got the full knot in here. Whoops. Not that time because I let it go. But I do have the full knot holding all that in place. Can you use the tying station? Yes, you can. You absolutely can. When I use the tying station, so here's the difference between the two. When I want my button on the end that I'm starting with, I use the knotty board. If I don't care that the button is at the end, like the other direction, I'll use the tying station. And I know that sounds weird, but let me show you why. Okay, so here's my tying station. All right. So my tying station, if you want the button to go on the end where you start, if you hook this around your peg, first of all, it makes a bigger loop, right? With your button. There's really no good way to secure this because your button is in the way. Does that make sense? So I can't bring in my plate and put that over the top of my button. I could use the squishy one, but it still doesn't secure it nice and tight. So if I use the tying station, I start with an end that does not have a button on it. So I'll make my loop for where my button is going to go through. Like I'll fold my leather in half and make it as an opening big enough for my button. So like an inch opening, and I'll hook that over and then tie a knot. And then that way I can secure this all down. So you can still use a button when you do the tying station, but the button has to come at the end of the design instead of at the top of the design, just because of the way that the tool is put together, if that makes any sense at all. So that's why for this one, because I wanted the button to be at the beginning, I'm using the knotty, because I can just clip it and it doesn't matter where that button is. All right. So you can still use a button. It just makes more sense to put it at the end to hold everything in place. I actually do prefer my tying station over the Knotty, but you know, I like to give all the tools all the love. So try to give everybody all the attention that they need here. And the Knotty is a good one. It's a good one. I use the clips for all kinds of things. So Zanny says, I bet black on black would look really cool. Yes, 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 yes. She said, isn't there even thinner leather so you could use both leather instead of a cord? Yes. So you don't have to use your leather. I'm using the 1.5 millimeter leather. You can use 1.5 to 2 if you want it to be nice and thick. However, if you had smaller cup chain, you could do this with a thinner leather cord. So you could use like 0.5 on your leather cord. You could use black cord to do your knotting, and all of it would disappear, and it would just be this beautiful, like sparkly bracelet with your sparkle chain and all the rest of it just black, so that it all kind of just disappears. So the knots are not nearly as visible. Or you could use flat leather for this. So if you didn't want to use round leather, you could use flat leather and you don't even have to double it over. Or you can, because I love cup chain and the versatility of that, plus this project, you can use flat artistic wire. So if you wanted to make a bangle bracelet, you 100% could use flat artistic wire instead of leather, and you could get a really sturdy, strong cuff. If you have a bracelet blank, a bangle that is already ready, doesn't have anything on it, you can do this to that. You can use ball chain instead of cup chain. So if you wanted it to be like studded instead of sparkly, you can do that. There are so many options, so many options. That's why a project like this is so much fun to do, because we get to talk about all of the different things that are possible outside of just this. Ooh, twisted wire would look amazing. Yes, I love it. I love it. I love it. All of you have incredible ideas, and they would all look really good with this. The twisted wire and just wrapping it around, I think would be really pretty. Also makes a really pretty ankle bracelet. Now, if you're going to do an ankle bracelet, excuse me, I would probably skip the button, just because buttons are kind of clunky around your ankle. And I would probably just use like a regular clasp of some variety, maybe use some cord ends to finish off your ends so they're a little bit cleaner, so that you don't have all of that extra chunky hardware on your ankle. Cindy wants to know if you could use our macrame board. Yes, your macrame board would work just as well. Anything you guys have got that you can use to attach your work to your surface is going to be fine. You don't have to use the Knotty or the tying station. And quite literally, you don't even have to have any tool to do this. You can just use painter's tape and tape this down to your work surface. So don't feel like you got to go out and buy tools for projects like this, because you don't. You really don't. And I would never encourage you to do that anyway. So use whatever you've got on hand that'll help to secure your work, because getting that first cup attached is really the trickiest part of this entire thing. All right, so let's take a look at what we've got so far. So you can see on this side, you do see that leather just whispering through there on both sides. And then on the underneath side, it's nice and flat, so it's going to lay nicely up against your skin. Yes, or even the bulldog clamps. Anything you've got, guys, anything. Get creative. Get creative. Don't go buy a tool. I say that, and I have like all the tools, but I'm also tool obsessed. But generally speaking, you don't need a special tool for any of these things. And I do think that the waxed cord, like the waxed linen, would be really nice for this, because it's not as slippery as the S-Lon. S-Lon, I have to pull it back down because it's so slippery until you get that knot set. The waxed linen doesn't do that. I have a, I'm going to show you guys my little package of waxed linen because I saw a question that went by about waxed linen a little while ago. I don't know what the question was, so if you want to re-ask it, I definitely would love to answer, but I wanted to show you guys my waxed linen. So I actually got this on Amazon, and I find that the waxed linen is way more, what's the word? It's less expensive than the S-Lon. I love the S-Lon because it comes in such a large variety of colors. We have the teal, and I'm using this crazy bright yellow for the other one. But it's expensive, just being honest with you. So if you're looking for something different, the waxed cord, I got this thing of waxed thread. You can see. Just take a screenshot if you want to. Kivison, I guess. Leathercraft Tools collection. I got this on Amazon, and it was a lot more affordable than buying 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 12 different colors of S-Lon. Like I said, S-Lon is expensive. And I love it, but if you want to go a cheaper route, the waxed thread is really, really nice, and you get a ton of it. And I think that they had different combinations. I liked this color palette to work with, but I think they had different ones. I got it on Amazon. So if you're looking for cord, because summertime jewelry is all about, you know, cord and knotting and things like that, very boho, definitely check that out on Amazon. What else? What else can you use wax linen for? I use wax linen for a lot of things. I love to use it for projects like this where you're knotting it because it's so grippy. But because it is so grippy, and when you tie knots with it, it just kind of grips onto itself. I like to use it for stringing. You know, instead of using my hardware at the ends. I mean, and you can still use hardware with it. Don't get me wrong. You can still, you could use like little bead tip covers, the clamshells to cover your knots at the end. But it's really good for stringing because it's lightweight. It drapes really, really nicely. And when you tie the knots, because it has that grippy wax on it, the knots stay put and you don't often need to use extra glue. So I enjoy using it for just stringing projects. You can use it for regular knotting too. So if you wanted to do like hand knotting, you can hand knot with it. I just use it just like I would use anything else. It's good for so many different things. You can use it for micro macrame, which I don't do a lot of. I stick to kind of the standard macrame knot techniques, but it's great for micro macrame. What else can you use it for? Anything that you use your beading thread for. Kathleen says she's got thin leather cord. Then thin cup chain is probably going to be your best bet. So I'd probably go with maybe like a 3 millimeter or a 2 millimeter for your cup chain. It's going to be so pretty. Be really, really pretty. All right. So just making my way down, and you can see like works up pretty quickly, right? And I do have the other one that is almost finished. We'll finish it off together. Let's see how far we can get on this one though. We may be able to do both of them. I would love to get them both finished. Honestly, I know this is a lot of repetitive. But while we are talking about this, let's talk about some of the other places you can put cup chain, because we did talk about putting this on flat leather. We talked about putting this on flat wire. Another thing that you can do with your cup chain is you can knot it onto like quick links, which I've done in the past. So if you wanted to make hoop earrings and you wanted them to be sparkly, you could do this on onto quick links to make sparkly little links. You don't even have to knot it. Honestly, you could just wire wrap with some really thin gauge wire. This kind of technique like this, or wire wrapping your cup chain to things, is a great way to use your cup chain where you don't have to have the the end findings, right? Because I think that's a lot of people don't like to use cup chain because they're like, well, you have to buy the extra findings for it in order to make it work. And that's true. If you want to just make cup chain a chain and you want to just treat it like chain, you do have to get the findings for the end of it. Otherwise, you just have this like this cut end. And what are you supposed to do with that? Right? Like that makes no sense unless you want to wire wrap it or whatever. So doing something like this means it doesn't matter. We don't have to have that end with the loop on it to attach a jump ring. So that's a good use of the cup chain. Can I re-show the name of your box of cording? Yes, ma'am. I'm so sorry. I didn't mean to take it out of the way so quickly. Kivison. And I don't know anything about this brand. Honestly, I was just looking for wax cord in colors on Amazon, and this is what I found. But I do remember that at the time when I was buying this, I found other color combos. So I think they have it in different colors, or at least they did when I bought it the first time. Now I have used this for kits. You guys have, some of you have kits at home that have some of this in it. If that is any indication of how much cord you get, I've made tons of kits with this cord and I still have a lot left over and I've not had to reorder. So you can see I've used the purple for things. I've used the blue and I've used the green. I think both of these were in kits and I still have a ton left. So it goes a long way. You're very welcome. You're very, very welcome. To me, it was just more cost effective than it was to buy the S-Lon. The S-Lon was insanely expensive, and buying it in bulk like that, where you want more than one color, the S-Lon can be really, really expensive. So I only buy the S-Lon when I can get it with a discount. You know, if I can get it on sale at Art Beads, or if I can use a discount code on a website, that's the only way that I buy it, because it is expensive. Individually, it's not too bad, but if I like to have, you know, a lot of colors. I mean, I'm weird like that. I gotta have all the colors. So I like to buy it where I can get more than one color choice. Yeah, 75 yards on each roll. That's a lot. It's gonna make a ton of projects. That's a lot of cord. A lot of cord. Yeah, I love the colors too. They're very pretty. All right, so we're just working our way down and nothing has changed. That's why I'm not still just like talking you through each one of these knots, but we can. So let's do that, right? You can see I just knotted around this cup. There's still room in here for a second square knot. So I'm going to put my second square knot in. So P shape on the right. My left cord is going to cross over that, and then I'm going to go behind my core and up through that P shape and pull. And then I'm going to do the same thing, but on the left. So backwards P shape on the left, right cord crosses over, goes behind and up through, and then pull. And I'm pulling nice and secure. I'm not leaving these loose. I'm making sure that they are nice and tight. And then the next one is just going to go around the cup itself. So I'm just treating the cup just like I would a bead, right? So there's my P shape on the right. The left cord crosses over, goes behind and up through and pull. And you can see it kind of frames around. And then we're going to secure that knot by doing the left side of that. So left P shape, or left P shape, backwards P shape on the left, right cord crosses over, and then it goes behind and up through. And you can see the S-Lon is kind of loose. So I tighten it before I tighten down the second step. Right. And there's still room for one more. Crosses over, goes behind and up through. Backwards P shape on the left, Right cord crosses over, goes behind and up through, and pull. All right, we're getting close to the end down here, so we may be able to finish off both bracelets, which I'm really hoping is the case because I would like to have them both finished. And I can get a good picture of them for everybody. Apologize for not having a picture in advance today, but there will be a picture to go with this very shortly. And I will replace the thumbnail on YouTube. I love that we are exclusively streaming here on YouTube now instead of having streaming happening over on Facebook, which is ridiculously unreliable. However, we still have lost a lot of our people. So we have 166 people watching here on YouTube. That is only half of what we used to have. And that is because our audience was split between YouTube and Facebook. And that means that there are a lot of our Facebook users from our community who have just completely lost us. They don't know where we are. They don't know where we went. They think we just disappeared for good. And the reason that I know that that's true is because I've had messages. I have had people send me emails and say, where are you? I miss you. What happened? Why are you not streaming on Facebook anymore? There are people out there who do not know that we have moved. The reason I'm telling you this is because I would love for you to please let our community members know if you are, if you post on our Facebook groups on a regular basis, or you have friends in the community and you don't see them here in the chat, guys, please bring the rest of our community members in, because we used to get 300 plus people watching live at a time. And now we're down to half of that because there are so many of our people who still have not made their way over. So when you see our community members, please let them know we're not gone. We're still here. We still have Facebook groups, but we only stream on YouTube. All right, so we're getting close to the end here. Dawn wants to know where I got my board. So I got my board from the Knotty Do-It-All.com, I think. It's Sandra Younger's board. And this is just the travel size version of it. This is the small version. I have the large version too, but I find that the large version I don't grab for nearly as often just because it takes up so much space. And it's just too big. It's too big. Unless I'm working on a really big project, I never grab for it. I always grab for the small one. I will tell you though, they are very expensive. Very, very expensive. This is definitely one of those tools where the first one that I ever got, I had to save up for it because they are so expensive. However, I do use it a lot. I really do. I use it a lot. Do I think it's worth all the money? I think the small one is. I don't necessarily think that the big one is worth it just because I never grab for it. But it's not an inexpensive tool. Just being 100% honest with you, it is an expensive tool. It is an investment. And if you're not going to use it on a regular basis, you're better off grabbing something like the tying station or a self-healing macrame board, because they're more cost effective. All right, so I'm actually running out of thread where I didn't center my thread up completely. You can see one side is long and one side is short. Yeah, but worth it. I mean, I do think it's worth it. I think that this one is worth it just because I use it all the time. But if you're not going to do a lot of macrame or knotting or, anything like that, it might not be worth it to get. The small one is 100% worth it. The big one, I don't know. And I'll be honest with you, I have 2 of the small ones and 2 of the big ones. I have the first version of the big one I got off of JTV a million years ago. The first version was a little bit different with all of the measurements and things that were on it. And then I got the updated version, I don't know, maybe 2 years ago, a year ago, something like that. I still never grab the big ones. It's always the small one. Always the small one. All right, so we're getting down to the end. And like I said, I'm running out of my knotting cord here. Whoops, hold on. Zena, that's enough. My goodness. I don't think my bracelet is quite long enough. So we're going to have to take a look here. We'll take this off. It might be. Because I'm getting pretty dang close to the end. This is almost too short to knot with. I could probably get one more knot out of that. I want to measure up against the one that I've already done. I need 2 more cups out of that. I don't think I have enough cord. I can try. I don't know if it's going to happen, but we'll give it a shot. If I can get at least one more cup knotted around, that'll be good enough. Yes, Kim says, don't forget to hit the like button, please, please, and thank you. Hit that like button while you are watching here. It only takes a second to hit that like button. And if you are not subscribed to my YouTube channel, please hit that subscribe button as well. That'll let you know anytime I go live. It'll also let you know anytime I upload or post anything, because sometimes the group posts things here just in the regular feed that's not even a video. So you want to stay in the know of what's going on. It's a good way to stay in the know as well. And it's helping me to make my way to my goal of 50,000 subscribers. We are quite a ways away from that at the moment, but I would really like to reach that goal. And I would love it if you would help me to make that happen. So hitting that subscribe button only takes a second, just like hitting the like button. And if you would like to share this around to people who see my cord's getting really short. You want to share this around to people who would also enjoy being part of our community, that would be awesome as well. I don't know if you guys can hear, but Gemma is outside in the hallway meowing her little head off. It's getting tricky here. I do not have enough cord. Oh. Bonnie says, I thought I heard a kitty. You did. You heard Gemma out there. She is the loudest cat I have ever had. She talks non-stop. And I've even had Siamese cats before. This cat, yeah, she's something else. She talks all the time. What have I done? Is that right? It is right. She talks all the time. Okay, I need to try to get one more knot out of this. I don't know if it's possible, but we're going to see. We're going to try for it. I know I can get the right side. It's the left side I'm not so sure about. Let's see. Look how tiny. And then cross over. Okay. It's definitely Gemma out there. She's being quiet at the moment. She gets mad if you close her out of things. So she'll come and sit outside the office door if she's not in here, and she will cry. But what you heard her doing was she was actually crying at my son's door, because he closes his door too when he does recordings and stuff. And she really loves to be in his room. That's like her favorite place to be, because she can get underneath his bed and crawl up inside the mattress in his room. She's such a weirdo. All right, that's as much as I can do here. There's no way I can get any more out of this. So we're gonna trim, and then we're gonna melt, and we're gonna do the same thing with the other one. So I'm gonna trim pretty close, and grab my lighter. She's a tortoiseshell tabby. She has such a strange coat. She's spotted and striped. She has all the things. All the things. All right, just tapping that down. Okay. Take this off of the board. Okay, I'm going to sit that to the side. And then I'm going to do the same thing with this one. So we'll get them both done. This one lost its little sparkle. That's okay, so we're actually going to cut that off. So not a big deal. But I'm using a lighter to do this, but feel free to use a thread burner instead so that you do not risk setting your project on fire. Does she have an M on her forehead? You know what? I don't know. I can't remember off the top of my head. I will have to look. They say that's the mark of Mary. I have heard. Okay. I don't know if that's true or not, but that's what I've heard. I kind of like to think that that's true, so I do. All right, now this one, I need to cut this cup off. So I just trimmed that, and then I'm also going to melt this again because just on the off chance that I accidentally messed up my cord. Okay. Now we got to do the same thing over here. We need to trim off. And I'm going to leave the last one. So I'm going to leave this one hanging. I didn't on this one just because it was missing its little sparkly. But okay, now what I'm going to do is I've got to make a loop for my button. So I'm going to take my cords and I'm going to tie an overhanded knot. And I'm going to cinch that down right at the end of the macrame. And I'm going to pull that nice and tight. I need to use my pliers. Oh, oh no! Oh, I'll never have enough for a loop. Oh, that's so frustrating. Well, dang. I always use way too much strength to do things. Now I don't know what to do. Bummer. Well, that's not cool. Wonder if I could open this up. I will obviously not pull so hard on the next one. It's a good thing we got two of these, right? All right, so I'm going to open that up a little. My pliers through there. Real life beading, you got that right. All right, let's stick this through. So I can probably still save this. Okay. Now we can pull this tight again. What a bummer. All right, that's actually going to be okay. However, I am going to need to add glue to this. Trim. And then trim this to make this look intentional. Okay, where's our glue? Where's my hypo cement? There it is. You guys, look at this pitiful. Look how sad. This guy has seen better days. Oh my. But if I add, this might be empty. I mean, I may need to open a new box. I have more of this. Okay, well, I'm just going to show you what I am going to do because I am going to have to get a new thing of glue open. Oh, wait. Nope. I think this one's done for. My goodness. Okay. Well, what I am going to do is I am going to open a new thing of my hypo cement. Oh, there's a little dot of glue right there. I'm going to open up a new thing of it, and I'm going to put this glue, the new one, in all of the little crevices here. And that will make sure that this will not come undone because this is still salvageable. I'm not going to slide my button through. Yes, I am. No, I'm not. I'm not. Not until I get this glued and let the glue set. But I will set the glue and then this will be fine. It'll be just fine. It looks intentional. There's nothing wrong with it, but it does have to have some glue because it definitely needs that extra little reassurance. And the good news is that this is my bracelet, so I'm okay with it, right? So that's how that one is going to look once I get a new glue. Let's do this one and not mess it up, shall we? Okay, so for this one, without destroying what we were trying to accomplish with the other, it's a good thing we had two of these. Same thing, gonna tie a knot, pull the knot down. Don't use your superhuman strength like I do. I don't know why I feel the need to go Hulk out on okay. Without turning into the Incredible Hulk. Cinch your knot down and then move over and leave yourself about an inch of room, okay, to get your button through, and then tie another. Gina, I agree with you. Gina says, when things don't go well, you're really teaching us the best lessons. And I agree with that. I think you're right. It's good because not everything is going to go perfectly when you're creating stuff. It's just not. We got to be real. Keep it real here. I'm not going to pretend like everything is sunshine and rainbows at my workstation because it's just not. All right. There's my other knot. And then I can trim. This actually kind of shows you two different ends, right? Because this one has a loop and this one does not have a loop. So they do look kind of different. So for this one, that's what you're going to get, right? You've got your beautiful cup chain on your leather. You've got your button, your little check glass button. Super cute. I like that. And then with this one, I almost worry about putting the button through the loop here without securing it with glue. I knew I shouldn't do that, but I can still fix this. I can put that back through. No problem, but you get the idea, right? So this one and that one, so they look a little different. Glue, glue, glue. Add the glue. Glue is important. All right, I'm going to turn you guys around. Oh my goodness. You never know what's going to happen here. You just never know. Never know. I have done some crazy things in lives. And, you know, I've set some things on fire. I have completely destroyed things that can't be fixed. But it's all a learning experience. Oh my gosh. All right, friends. I'm going to show you what this one looks like. You can see how pretty this is. So again, the reason we did this in the first place was because it's fun to work with. You know, it's fun to macrame. It's fun to use cup chains. Fun to use leather. However, tennis bracelets are big right now. Big, big, big. And you could go buy a fake one for like $8 on Amazon, and that's fine. There's nothing wrong with that. However, as jewelry makers, number one, on a jewelry maker budget, I can't buy a real one. But number two, I can very easily recreate it and give it my own personal style. So that is what we are doing here. We recreated the tennis bracelet look, but with color and a check glass button, because who doesn't love a good button? So there is that one that we did in the black and the teal, which I absolutely adore. I think that is so pretty. So, so pretty. And then this one in a bright, bright yellow with the blue, which I thought was kind of a cool combination, also with a really pretty check glass button in blue. So you can really personalize this. The cup chain is relatively inexpensive. Don't go buy like the most expensive cup chain, because this is fast fashion, right? This stuff's going to be out of style by this time next year, and you'll have moved on to something else. So don't go spend a ton of money on things like this, right? Put together what you love at the moment, use what you got on hand, and then when it's out of fashion, you didn't break the bank, right? That's my favorite part of being a jewelry maker. It's like I can recreate anything without spending a ton of money. And then when it's out of style, I don't feel bad. I can just take it apart and use the parts for something else. So, all right, I'm out of here. I love you. I love you so much. Thanks for being patient and hanging with me and all of my disasters. I will be back with you guys next Tuesday. Well, I'll be back with you on Friday at 1 p.m. for our Feel Good Friday show. Don't forget that part. We're getting together for Feel Good Friday on Friday. But I will be with you again on Tuesday of next week, hopefully with the bargain bead box. Fingers crossed, okay? So, all right, friends, I love you so, so much. Thanks for hanging with me and letting me be a part of your afternoon. The rest of you guys, I will see you on Friday. But my hardwired people, I will see you at 4 p.m. Eastern this afternoon for our hardwired project, okay? Hardwired, open for enrollment. So if you want to come join, now's the time to do it. I'll see you guys later. Bye, guys.